By now it's no secret the Dallas Cowboys don't have a first-round draft pick in the upcoming 2019 NFL Draft. The Amari Cooper trade took care of that, meaning sitting through the entire day one could be a little tiresome for us fans. But day 2 of the draft could get really interesting for the Cowboys, especially as it pertains to the players, positions they could target. Today, I wanted to take a look at a few of the day 2 tight end prospects the Dallas Cowboys could be interested in. This would be the second tier of TEs behind the likes of TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, and Irv Smith, all of which should be gone by the time the Cowboys are on the clock at 58th overall in the second round. I really believe that if the Dallas Cowboys plan on drafting a starting caliber tight end in this year's draft class, they are going to have to do it with either their second or third round selection. The TEs available beyond that point probably aren't much of an upgrade over Blake Jarwin or Dalton Schultz, which is praise in itself about the upside of the young TEs they currently have on the roster. With all of that in mind, I put together a list of 3 tight ends I would personally target on day 2 if I were the Cowboys. I tried to identify what they typically look for in this starting tight: size, speed, athleticism, while also taking into account the ones that are versatile enough to contribute on all 3 downs in both the running and passing game. Isaac Nauta, Georgia. Isaac Nauta is a former 5-star recruit who never really lived up to his billing during his time with the Georgia Bulldogs. He is a top-notch blocker both in line and when split out wide, but due to the Bulldogs' run-heavy offense he never really developed into the pass catcher many envisioned him becoming. He possesses good speed and terrific hands to be a threat in the passing game though, even if he doesn't show a lot of separation ability on film. Nauta looks and plays like a prototypical Dallas Cowboys tight end. He has the desired size, 6 feet 4 inches, 246, athleticism, and skill set to step in and be the Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie. His blocking ability alone will get him on the field early, but he also shows enough pass-catching ability to be a threat in the passing game as well. Overall, Nauta is a pro-ready 3-down guy who is a high-floor prospect with very little downside. Jace Sternberger, Texas A. He was basically a complete unknown before the 2018 season and had just 1 catch for 5 yards during his 2 years at Kansas before deciding to transfer to JUCO. He didn't fare much better at Northern Oklahoma A. Sternberger is almost the exact opposite of Isaac Nauta, but still has the desired traits the Dallas Cowboys look for in their tight ends. Unlike Nauta, Sternberger is much more accomplished as a passing threat. He runs and moves like a big wide receiver and possesses good separation ability. Due to his size, 6 feet 4 inches, 250, and athletic ability, he is difficult to bring down after the catch as well. He's not as accomplished as a blocker as Nauta, but he shows good technique and will improve in time with added strength. He has the ability to be the Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie. Dawson Knox, Ole Miss. Dawson Knox is a former walk-on quarterback at Ole Miss, but spent the last 2 years playing tight end for the Rebels. He is one of the more difficult tight ends to evaluate in this draft class due to the unorthodox offense he played in and his usage in the system, but may actually be more pro-ready than many of us believe. He does have the size, 6 feet 4 inches, 250, speed, and natural hands to be a complete 3-down tay in the NFL and reminds me a little bit of George Kittle when he was entering the league. Knox is still pretty raw as a player, but moldable, and he has the upside to be one of the best tight ends in this entire draft class. He could probably compete to be the Dallas Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie, but it might be better for him to be in a timeshare of sorts while he develops his God-given talent. Nevertheless, I have a hard time seeing him making it out of day 2 of the draft, especially after he puts on a show at the NFL Scouting Combine. His talent might be too much for the Cowboys to pass up. 2019 NFL Draft. Dallas Cowboys Dawson Knox Isaac Natahachi Sternberger tight end. The Dallas Cowboys have taken a few risks when on the clock in the second round of the NFL Draft in recent years. Andy Gregory and Jalen Smith, both important starters on defense, were drafted to the Cowboys after they went down on many teams' draft boards. In 2019, they'll have the opportunity to take yet another risk. Recently, one of the best defensive tackles in this year's class, Jeffrey Simmons, suffered a torn ACL while going through a drill during his workout in Florida. Simmons took to Twitter to share the unfortunate news that will drastically affect his draft stock only a couple of months before the draft. https://t.co/onotsprivovi. Before the injury, Jeffrey Simmons was seen as a top draft prospect. Some even envisioned him being drafted in the top 10. As a 21-year-old defensive tackle from Mississippi State, Simmons had an impressive career during his time in college football. In 3 seasons he managed to rack up 157 tackles and 7 sacks. One thing is clear, it's that the Mississippi State product will be an impact player when he gets on the field on Sundays. His quick reaction on the get-off will still interest a lot of teams despite his injury. A sound defender on the running and passing game, he'll pay big dividends for whichever team decides to pull the trigger on him come April. Due to their recent second-round draft history, I can't help but wonder if the Dallas Cowboys will consider him when they're on the clock in the second round. This year, though, there will be a big difference. Pick. It will be tough for them to wait until the third round to pick a player they could actually put on the field for the 2019 season. Especially considering the fact that they're a football team with title aspirations this year. Despite their history and the fact that Simmons will be one hell of a pro, I believe the team will not want to make such a pick in the second without a first-round selection. The team has a big need at DT, although Antoine Woods and Maliek Collins were very serviceable in 2018. We'll see how tempted they are if Jeffrey Simmons is still on the board when they're on the clock. The Dallas Cowboys' defense was one of the better units throughout the season, but it wasn't without its flaws. An area where they struggled was in creating turnovers and at times against the run. As good as they were in 2018, they have positions where they can use upgrades: defensive tackle and safety. Xavier Woods showed a lot of promise in his second season with the Dallas Cowboys and should continue to be a prominent player moving forward, but Jeff Heath's full-time role may have run its course. Today we're going to look at Darnell Savage Jr., safety from Maryland. Per College Football Reference, Darnell Savage Jr. stands at 5'11" and weighs in right at 200 pounds. In his last 3 years at Maryland he played in 35 games. He averaged 56.67 tackles, 2.67 interceptions, 3.5 per season over his last 2 seasons and 4 in his senior season, and 3 tackles for loss over his final 3 seasons. He had 8 pass deflections as a junior and 2 more as a senior. Savage could be a player that's in play for the Dallas Cowboys at number 58 of the second round. I watched the Texas and Temple games from 2018. Darnell Savage Jr. Film notes: Maryland lined him up in 2 deep cover 2 looks a lot and dropped him into different coverages. From his 2 deep alignment, he would move into cover 3, cover 4, and man coverages. Temple or Texas looked to avoid him as part of their game plans. The one time that either Texas or Temple threw his way, he came down from his 2 deep look into man coverage and jumped a 5-yard out route and intercepted the pass, taking it to the end zone for a touchdown. He's excellent in diagnosing bubble screens and swing passes. On several occasions he met the ball carrier 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and dropped him for a loss. Savage wraps up in the open field against. Once he diagnoses the play, he gets moving toward the ball in a flash. Willing to take on bigger blockers and receivers with the ball in their hands. stymied the 6'4", 225-pound Lil Jordan Humphrey from Texas on a bubble screen after Humphrey had broken one tackle. Savage wrapped him up and brought him to the ground. Temple attempted to run a reverse after the handoff, and Savage came all the way from across the field to meet the runner for a 6-yard loss. Plays with excellent speed and aggressiveness when he sees the play. Sometimes Savage gets caught watching the action on his side of the field and doesn't recognize what is happening in the middle or opposite side of the field. Several times on the read option, it appeared that he didn't recognize that the QB had given the ball away. It could be that he was schemed to take the quarterback, but one time the runner went against the grain to Savage's side of the field and he was unable to get to him before he scored a short touchdown. Maryland had Savage cover tight ends and wide receivers, and again, Temple and Texas didn't throw his way much at all. Again, in a two-deep safety look came up from 10 yards deep to make a play on a toss to the running back and tackled him for a 4-yard loss. It's dangerous to run things to the perimeter with this guy. If he gets to the line of scrimmage unblocked, he's bringing you down. When blocked on runs to the perimeter, he does a good job of stringing the play to the outside. Savage works his blocker and doesn't give up on the play. He fights to get unblocked in order to make a play. When a team runs play action or hands the ball off out of shotgun or pistol formations, Savage is slower to react and diagnose the play. He'll need to get quicker in processing what's happening there at the next level. One of the more impressive plays I saw him make was on a trick play. Temple attempted to run a wide receiver pass to the outside. Everyone bought the wide receiver reverse, and even Savage did too, but was able to use his quickness and speed to make up 5 yards of separation that the Temple receiver had on him to be in good coverage. The Temple receiver wasn't able to come down with the catch, and Savage's coverage affected that. Summary: Darnell Savage Jr. doesn't have a ton of height, but he's an explosive player who can play down in the box and in 2 deep looks for the Cowboys. He's a guy that would pair well with Xavier Woods, as you could use those two interchangeably depending on the matchup you face week to week. He's an aggressive player who uses his speed to get into the play and cause disruption. Savage could be around for the Dallas Cowboys at 58, and if they don't sign one of the big-name free agent safeties, should be the selection. If he isn't a day-one starter, he'd be starting by the end of the season. It's pretty much universally agreed that the Dallas Cowboys have a need for a starting tight end, particularly one who can stretch the field as a receiving threat. Despite not having a first-round pick, this class should give the Cowboys an opportunity to add tight end talent to their roster through the NFL draft. Will that be TE1 talent, though? Or will it just be another replacement-level tight end on a roster which already seems full of them? Let's get into my top 5 tight ends of this 2019 class, and see what they could potentially bring to the Cowboys this season and beyond. 1. T.J. Hawkinson, Iowa. The clear TE1 in this class is T.J. Hawkinson. The 2018 John Mackey Award winner earned his way to the top of this list with his versatility, lining up in line and as a slot receiver for Iowa during his college career. At 6 feet 5 inches 243 pounds, Hawkinson looks like he was made in a tight end producing lab, and he has the athleticism and ability to maximize his build. In the run game, T.J. Hawkinson is a good blocker, showcasing excellent effort and competitiveness through his blocks, a technical route runner with a good hands, a plus catch radius, and legitimate yards after catch ability. Hawkinson has a chance to be the very first offensive skill player off the board this spring. 2. Noah Fant, Iowa. Hawkinson's teammate at Iowa, Noah Fant, comes in at number 2 on my tight end rankings. While Hawkinson is the more well-rounded of the two players, Fant certainly has more athletic upside. I expect him to test better than Hawkinson will at the combine, and has the receiving skills to be a real threat at the next level. Noah Fant fits the bill for a modern NFL tight end, flexing out wide and threatening defenses vertically with his receiving ability. A long player with a good route running ability and speed, Fant is able to create separation against defensive backs in a variety of ways. Fant is far from a one-trick pony, and would be an excellent addition to Cowboys' offense, which is yearning for this type of flex threat from the tight end position. Unfortunately, he won't last anywhere near 58th overall. 3. Irv Smith Jr., Alabama Cowboys draft target, Alabama Irv Smith Jr. Can I interest you in the tight end who averaged 16.3 yards per catch and scored 7 touchdowns last season? If so, meet Alabama's Irv Smith Jr. Smith is the number 3 tight end on my board entering the combine, and I really don't expect him to drop whatsoever in the coming months. Smith is an athletic player who runs good routes and offers excellent run-blocking ability. He's not as refined as Hawkinson nor as athletic, explosive as Fant, but he combines the inline and flexibilities of the two to a certain extent. Smith is the first somewhat plausible target for the Cowboys on this list, though I'd still be surprised if he lasted until 58th overall. 4. Jace Sternberger, Texas A. Relatively unknown before the 2018 season, Sternberger finished the year with 800 yards and 10 touchdowns on 48 catches, and earned All-American honors for his production. Now he has a chance to be a second-round pick in the 2019 draft, and is finding himself mocked to the Cowboys by many major draft media outlets. Sternberger fits the prototype of a modern receiving tight end, with better speed and hands than most others in his class. Though he is still raw in many areas, his upside is intriguing, and there's no doubt he's a pretty good player as is. Like the first 3, it's hard to imagine I will move Sternberger any lower than 4th in this class, and he is a legitimate option for the Cowboys' 58th overall. 5. Isaac Nauta, Georgia. While the first 4 tight ends on this list will make their money with their passing game production, Georgia's Isaac Nauta looks like more of an old-school run blocker. Nauta is right up there with any tight end in this class in terms of blocking, and would be an immediate contributor to the Cowboys' run game in that area. He's still growing in multiple areas as a receiver, however, such as his route running and yards after catch ability. Still, I think Nauta is much better as a receiver than his college production would suggest. He, like others in that talented Georgia offense, got lost in the shuffle a bit, and didn't get the number of targets he could have seen elsewhere. There's a real possibility Nauta is available at 58 when the Cowboys pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if he were the pick either.